The sound of shattering glass echoed through the quiet parking lot. A woman named Sarah stood frozen, her hands still hovering in the air, staring at the damage she had just done. With her other hand, she was clutching a half-empty bottle of wine. Her target. A brand new, sleek, black Mercedes. And standing just 10 feet away, holding her car keys. Was the owner of that Mercedes a woman named Chloe? But this wasn't just some random act of vandalism. This was personal. The air wasn't just filled with the smell of alcohol. It was thick with years of buried resentment and a friendship that had ended in flames. As Sarah stumbled back, realization dawning on her face, Chloe didn't scream or cry. She simply pulled out her phone and dialed a single number. It wasn't the police. Not yet. It was a number that would make this entire situation 10 times more complicated. The look on Chloe's face wasn't just anger. It was victory. And that is when this story took a turn. No one in that parking lot could have predicted to understand how two women ended up in a courtroom over a kicked car door. You have to go back nearly 15 years. Sarah and Chloe met in their first week of college. Roommates, two nervous 18-year-olds from different worlds, thrown together in a cramped dorm room. For the first few years, they were inseparable. The kind of friends who finished each other's sentences. Who pulled all-nighters together studying for exams? Who dreamed about their futures together? They promised to be in each other's weddings. To be godparents to each other's kids. Their friendship was the kind people write songs about. But then everything changed after college. Chloe's career took off. She was ambitious, driven, incredibly smart. She landed a job at a top marketing firm and quickly climbed the corporate ladder. Sarah, on the other hand, struggled. She floated between jobs, never quite finding her footing. Waitress, barista, assistant at a small insurance agency, while Chloe was buying designer handbags and going on lavish vacations. Sarah was worrying about how to pay her rent. At first, Chloe tried to help. She offered to pay for a course, offered to introduce her to people in her industry, but every offer was met with a polite refusal. Sarah started to pull away. She would make small comments. If Chloe bought a new car, Sarah would say it was nice but a bit showy. If Chloe talked about a work success, Sarah would change the subject. Their friendship became a competition that only one of them knew they were playing. Then came the breaking point. Chloe's engagement party. A beautiful, elegant event at a rooftop bar downtown. Sarah arrived late and seemed uncomfortable from the moment she walked in. Throughout the night, she drank a little too much. As Chloe was opening gifts, Sarah made a loud, snide comment about how it must be nice to buy a husband. The room went silent. Chloe was mortified. It was the first time Sarah's private jealousy had become public humiliation. That night, Chloe asked her to leave. They didn't speak for an entire year. They unfriended each other on social media. A 15-year friendship. Gone, at least. That's what Chloe thought. The night of the incident was the 1-year anniversary of their falling out. Chloe was at a wine bar in the city with colleagues, celebrating a big new client they had landed. She had parked her new Mercedes in the lot across the street. Inside the bar, the mood was celebratory. Chloe was happy, laughing, feeling proud of her success. What she didn't know was that Sarah was also in that bar. Sarah had seen a photo Chloe posted online earlier that week, a casual check-in at this very spot. She had been drinking alone at her apartment before she even got there. She told herself she just wanted to see Chloe, maybe try to talk. But the alcohol was fueling a different kind of fire. She sat in a dark corner of the bar, nursing glass after glass of wine, watching Chloe laugh with her successful friends. With every laugh, the knot of anger in her stomach grew tighter. Then Chloe stood up, hugged her colleagues. Headed for the door, Sarah's heart pounded. She threw some cash on the table and stumbled out after her. She caught up to Chloe just as she was reaching for her car door. "Chloe," Sarah slurred. Her voice cutting through the quiet night, Chloe spun around. "Sarah, what the... Are you following me?" Her voice was a mix of shock and concern. She could smell the wine on Sarah from 5 feet away. "I just wanted to see if the high and mighty princess was still lording it over everyone." Sarah spat, her words dripping with venom. Chloe sighed. A deep, weary sound. Sarah, you're drunk. Please just go home. Let's not do this. Oh, don't you dare, Sarah snapped, stepping closer. Don't you dare act like you're better than me. Look at you with your perfect car and your perfect life. She gestured wildly at the Mercedes. Chloe held up her keys, her expression hardening. I'm not doing this. I'm leaving. She pressed the button on her key fob. The Mercedes let out a soft chirp as it unlocked, and that is when the night took a turn neither of them saw coming. As the car lights flashed, something inside Sarah snapped. That sound. Those doors unlocking. It was the final confirmation of everything she didn't have. Chloe owned this beautiful, expensive machine. And what did Sarah own? A mountain of debt. A broken-down car that barely started. With a guttural cry of rage, Sarah lunged. Not at Chloe, at the car. She ran straight for the driver's side door and kicked it as hard as she could. The sound was sickening. A deep crunch echoed through the lot. This wasn't just a dent. The metal was creased. The paint was scraped away. The impact was so hard, the window mechanism inside shattered. Thousands of dollars in damage. Chloe stood there, utterly speechless. She stared at her beautiful car, then back at her ex-friend, who was now stumbling backward, a look of horror and satisfaction mixed on her face. Oh my God, Sarah whispered. The reality of what she'd just done cutting through the alcohol. Oh my God, Chloe, I'm sorry. Chloe didn't scream. She didn't cry. She took a deep, slow breath. A terrifying calm settled over her. She looked at the damage, then at Sarah. No, she said, her voice eerily steady. You're not sorry. You've never been sorry. She pulled out her phone. Sarah flinched. Please, Chloe, don't call the police. Please, we can work this out. I'll pay for it. Chloe looked at her, a single eyebrow raised. Pay for it. With what, Sarah? She scrolled through her contacts. Not to 911, to a name. A small, sad smile played on her lips. She pressed call. Sarah's blood ran cold. Who was she calling? A boyfriend? A lawyer? The look on Chloe's face was terrifyingly calm. Chloe held the phone to her ear and spoke one sentence. Mom, it's me. You're not going to believe what just happened, Mom. Sarah was confused. Why was she calling her mom? She knew Chloe's mother, Linda, a sweet, quiet woman who had always been kind to her when they were young. Chloe hung up. My mother is on her way. Your mom? Sarah asked, a nervous laugh escaping. What is she going to do? Ground me? Chloe just stared at her, not saying a word. The silence was more unnerving than any scream. They stood there in the cold parking lot for what felt like an eternity. The only sound the distant hum of the city. Sarah's buzz was quickly fading, replaced by a creeping dread. 20 minutes later, a taxi pulled up. The door opened. Linda stepped out. Petite woman with kind eyes. But when she saw the dent in her daughter's car and the state of Sarah, those eyes hardened. Oh, Sarah, Linda said, her voice full of disappointment. What have you done? Sarah's mouth dropped open. Linda, I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. I drank too much. I wasn't thinking. Linda walked right past her and stood next to Chloe. It's a shame. You used to be such a sweet girl. She looked at her daughter. Is that the car? Chloe nodded. Yes, she kicked it. Linda turned back to Sarah. You know, my daughter has told me about the comments over the years. The snide remarks. I told her to be patient, that you'd grow out of it. But this. Then the police car pulled into the parking lot, lights flashing silently. Someone in a nearby apartment must have heard the commotion and called them. Sarah panicked. Linda, please. Tell them it was an accident. Tell them you'll help me pay for it. An officer got out and approached. We got a call about a disturbance. Everything all right? Chloe pointed to the car. This woman, Sarah Miller, just kicked and severely damaged my vehicle. The officer looked at the dent, then at Sarah, who reeked of alcohol. Ma'am, is that true? Sarah looked desperately at Linda, her last hope. Linda met her gaze. For a second, Sarah saw a flicker of the old kindness. Then Linda spoke. But what came out of her mouth next shocked Sarah to her core. Linda looked at the police officer, then back at Sarah. Her expression was calm, firm. Officer, I saw the whole thing. Sarah's jaw dropped. What? No, you didn't. You just got here. Linda ignored her. I was on the phone with my daughter when it happened. I heard the whole altercation. I heard Sarah screaming, then I heard the kick. My daughter was trying to de-escalate, trying to get in her car and leave, and Sarah just attacked the vehicle. The officer nodded, writing in his notepad. Sarah stood frozen. Linda, the woman who used to bake her cookies, had just lied to the police. But that's not what happened, Sarah stammered. I mean, I kicked the car, yes, but she wasn't on the phone. She called her mom after. Chloe simply held up her phone. The call log. A call to mom that had lasted 12 minutes. The call had started before the kick. The officer looked at Sarah. Ma'am, you're clearly intoxicated. You've admitted to kicking the car. We have a witness who heard the entire event. You're under arrest for vandalism and criminal mischief. As the officer turned her around and began reciting her rights, Sarah locked eyes with Linda. Why? She whispered, tears finally streaming down her face. Why would you do that? Linda leaned in close, so only Sarah could hear. Because you've been hurting my daughter for years with your jealousy and your cruelty. You broke her heart when you ruined her engagement party. You didn't just kick a car tonight, Sarah. You kicked at her happiness, her success. This wasn't a moment of drunken rage. This was 15 years of you trying to tear her down. I just made sure that for once you'd have to face the music. Months later, the case finally came before a judge. Sarah's lawyer argued for leniency, clean record, a single alcohol-fueled mistake. They offered to pay for the damages. But the prosecutor had Lynda.com. Reliable, credible Chloe sat in the front row. When the judge asked if she had anything to say, she stood up. Your Honor, Chloe said, her voice clear and strong. This isn't about the money. It's about a pattern of emotional harassment that finally turned into a physical act. I'm not seeking vengeance. I'm seeking accountability. The judge looked over the file. Then at Sarah, he took a deep breath. Ms. Miller, vandalism is a serious crime. It shows a blatant disregard for another person's property and their peace of mind. The court sentences you to 1 year of probation, 50 hours of community service, and you are ordered to pay full restitution to the victim in the amount of $8,473. Sarah's face went pale. $8,000. She'd be paying it off for years. As the gavel came down, Chloe didn't smile. She just looked at her old friend with a mixture of pity and sadness. The friendship was well and truly over. But now it had a final official ending. Written in a court record, the instant karma wasn't just the arrest. It was the knowledge that her own actions, and the testimony of a woman she once considered a second mother, had cost her everything. So, what do you think? Was Linda's lie on the witness stand justified to protect her daughter, or did she go too far? And what about Chloe? Should she have accepted the money and let it go, or was it right to push for the full weight of the law? I want to know your take on this story. Let me know in the comments below. And if you love intense courtroom dramas and stories of friendship gone wrong, hit that subscribe button. We have new cases every week you won't want to miss. Thanks for watching.